Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another live edition from the chair with Big Money Exchange and the ex-owner of this podcast, Nathan Noss.
I haven't gotten used to that X part yet, but I will. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I want to take a minute, though, if it's all right, and say mental health in any situation is very important. So take time to focus on yourself. And if you see somebody that needs help, help them out. And for the people that are going through it, just remember you're not alone, right? There might be somebody right in front of you that's trying to help, or around the corner, or wherever. But don't be afraid to ask for help.
Hashtag save Jimmy Mayhem. Free
Absolutely.
Jimmy Mayhem.
So tonight our guest is Cam Drexel.
Yep.
Good evening, everybody.
Being on tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Just fine.
All right.
So our first question is, who were your wrestling heroes growing up?
My wrestling heroes growing up, I like the smaller guys, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, the guys like that. And not to say Bret's a small guy, but in the era he was in with the Hogans and the Warriors around, Bret was a small guy.
Yep.
But those were the guys I really looked up to. Later on, I was honestly more of a WCW fan than the WWF at the time. So I kind of gravitated towards the Dean Malenkos, the Eddie Guerreros, Chris Jericho's. Chris Jericho's still one of my favorites. I like the smaller guys, the ones that you wanted to believe in were still in the fight.
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense.
So before I ask my question, if your promotion is looking for great talent, hook up Big Money Exchange. They're available to travel outside of Southern California. They're looking to expand. So if you want a good talent, go to Big Money Exchange.
Nice. I'll have to look it up. Where can I find you, Big Money?
Instagram, big.money.dodge and Big Money Exchange.
Nice.
So the question is, speaking of Big Money Exchange, he'll love this one. Could you name your top 5 managers of all time?
Okay. Top 5 managers. Number 1, first and foremost, the greatest manager ever in the history of wrestling, Bobby the Brain Heenan. Nobody comes close, nobody compares. It's Bobby Heenan and then several other people far down. Yep. I'll throw in Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. I think he was great as manager. I'm actually from the southern United States, so someone I'm a little bit more familiar with, kind of got some mainstream success a little later on, was Gary Hart. World class. I thought Gary Hart was pretty awesome. I think he did some, NWA, maybe some WCW stuff later on. As a manager, Jim Cornette I thought was awesome with the Midnight Express, and and it was the Heavenly Bodies and Smoky Mountain. I always thought Cornette was entertaining as a manager. And I'll say Paul Heyman, but not Paul Heyman. I much prefer Paulie Dangerously, like Dangerous Alliance era, Samoan SWAT team era, Paulie Dangerously. I love that character. I think, he's definitely top 5 for me.
Absolutely. And
I completely agree with that.
And the next question will turn to Mr. Big Money.
Who are your top indie female wrestlers as of today?
Okay, my top indie female wrestlers. I believe she's still working. My favorite female indie wrestler is going to be Erica Torres. She's from back when I first broke into the business back in Oklahoma. Erica was breaking in about the same time. She actually had a small, I believe maybe now unrecognized stint as the NWA Women's World Champion. Erica was a beast. She was a legitimate amateur wrestling champion in college. But I believe she's still working Oklahoma, Texas area. Probably more than that. Erica's my number 1. Gypsy Mac, I believe, is a really awesome female talent. SOS is an amazing female talent. I've done several shows with her now. I know you guys just had her on, not too long ago. I just saw her last weekend in Texas as well. she's an amazing talent. She can do some great things for a girl her size. She's an awesome talent. And the way she works her gimmick is, the Sky, Olivia, and Storm. She's awesome.
Yep.
Let's see who other than that. There's a lot of women around here. Panda, I think, is going to be really awesome. But I said she's relatively new in the game here in Colorado Springs. I think she's going to turn out to be really awesome. And up in Denver, there's a lady named Tyra Rusame. She does some pretty good stuff as well. So outside of that, I really don't know a whole lot of the female indie talent. I know there's a lot of it out there. I probably should be a little bit more up on it, but as far as my 5, I would say them.
That's a good handful.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I'm going to expand on that a little bit. I know, like Skylar Slice. I remember her from back in the day. She's doing some stuff with Rocky Mountain Pro now. She's an awesome talent. Brittany Brooks is a good talent. So there's a lot of them. But like I said, I would say those are my top 5.
Awesome.
So can you tell us how Chaos Theory was formed?
So Chaos Theory ended up being myself, and my 2 partners were brothers, Riot and Rampage. Riot was my first opponent in RCW. When I made my debut there, I went prison style. You go for the biggest, baddest dude in the yard, and at 6'3" and 300 and almost 40 pounds, he was the biggest, baddest dude in the yard. He also happened to be the son of one of the promoters. So he was my first match there.
Good pick.
What's that?
Good pick.
Oh, yeah.
Go for the
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, and at that, I called him out. I challenged him to the match. So, yeah, we had our first match together. I believe that was his first match also. And as we're fighting each other, at the time, RCW had a feud between the 2 owners. We had Pork Chop, who was the bad guy, and Outlaw, who was Riot's father. He was the good guy. And they were fighting over control of the company, so there was a lot of Team Pork Chop versus Team Outlaw. And so during our match, 3 of the members of Team Pork Chop came in, and they attacked Riot, but it was, I was kind of collateral damage. So, we ended up kind of on the same side there. And then his little brother Rampage got added with us. And the reasoning for Chaos Theory was, if you know what Chaos Theory is, the smallest action has the greatest reaction. Yep. And that's what we were. We were the reaction, put together to take out Team Pork Chop.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
So who is your toughest opponent to date and why?
My toughest opponent to date, I'm going to say, is Animal Sam. We have had matches together, as far as tags and all that stuff. I think we've probably faced each other probably 5 or 6 times by now, which is saying a lot because I've only had 20 matches in the business. And 2 of those matches were they were essentially just brawls. He calls it Badlands Rules, which is, he is the madman from the Badlands, so it's his match. Badlands Rules is no count out, no disqualification, but the match must end in the ring by pinfall or submission. And so the first match was actually at one of our shows in Pueblo, at a place called Classic Q's, which is a bar and grill pool hall. And we beat the hell out of each other all over that place. Across the pool tables. He took the valet chain and wrapped it around my face. I think I ended up giving him a drop kick outside the ring, a body slam on the parquet floor. We beat the hell out of each other that night. I believe I even broke one of the place's cups, like in the middle of our match. We're out amongst the fans, and somebody had their cup that was just melted ice and whatever else was in there. I picked it up and just smashed it over his forehead. So that was a pretty fun night. And then here just recently we had another Badlands Rules match. Like I said, that was in Pueblo, but RCW is based in Canyon City, Colorado. So Pueblo was kind of a special show. So our core fans here in Canyon City didn't get to see that match. unless they drove the 30 minutes to Pueblo. So here, I believe it was back in March, we had the same thing. He had called out a guy that, basically shrugged him off and, didn't show up, told him it's the back of the line. So I came out, clearly he was looking for a fight, and the fans deserve to see us fight. So we had another Badlands rules match. And the second one, the one here in Canyon City, I ended up coming out on top. So we've beaten the hell out of each other quite a bit. I would say Sam is my toughest opponent.
Very cool.
Yeah, I saw the promo going into that match. Like when he called out that guy, he was going after the Elite Championship.
Yes.
And the guy did a great promo, talked all the game, but then never showed up. And that match you guys had was amazing, especially the spot where you threw him down the steps when you guys fought up on the stage.
Yes.
And then you walked down and he attacked you when you got to the curtain. I was like,
yeah,
wow, you really took that stair thing really well, didn't you?
Yeah. By the time I got there, he was already ready to go. I think I didn't follow up enough with the tossing him down the stairs. I think when I shouldn't have stopped to play to the crowd, I should have just followed up and gone after him. But yeah, by the time I got back there, he actually gave me a cheap shot. That's how he got back on top. So yeah, he likes poking people's eyes. So he got me there. I think I was probably the fourth time in that match he'd gone after my eyes. But yeah, that's what the people saw. It was I threw him down the stairs, and then next thing you know, I'm come flying out of the curtain. Yeah, that's the way those fights go sometimes.
Yep. Exactly. All right, Mr. Dodge, question?
Oh, that's me. What's your opinion on death matches? Do you like them? Would you be part of one?
I would not. Death matches are not really my thing. I certainly understand the art to it. There's a huge death match community here, like I said, around Colorado Springs and Denver. Some of the guys up there are amazing at what they do. And I've seen some of the stuff these guys do, and that is not the reason I got into the business. And right. Like I said, I totally understand the art of it. I absolutely appreciate the art of it. I definitely wouldn't knock those guys for anything. It's just not my thing.
Nice. Whose turn is it now?
Nathan.
So, how much training do you do weekly, and how many shows do you do a week?
Only one show a week. Actually, usually it's about 3 shows a month right now.
Wow.
Training, I try to do as often as I can. Right now, the guy that runs ORW, El Conde Federico, is trying to get his school set up in Colorado Springs. So I'll be training a bit more there. We were training here in Canyon City up to 5 nights a week, depending on, when people would show up. But that's kind of gone to the wayside right now. We lost our essentially our venue that we were training at. So training's been shut down for a little bit. So I've been trying to get it in wherever I can. But yeah, I said typically once he gets running in Colorado Springs, it'll be probably 3 nights a week at least. Nice. And then like I said, hopefully the 3 shows a month. And honestly, I'd like to do more shows. I'd like to start venturing out more.
California is always looking for talent.
Right. I almost had the opportunity to go to California for AIWF last year.
Oh,
I ended up choosing someone else instead of me, but I said I don't think I deserved it anyway. I said I try to be as humble as possible. As I said before, I've only had 20 matches in my short career. So,
well, if you ever make it out this way, there's quite a few wrestling places in Washington that your style would fit perfectly in. So
awesome. I appreciate that. I'll definitely check it out if I head out there.
So if you had a dream match, what would it be? Who would be involved, and what would the outcome be?
Dream match for myself, or are we fantasy booking here?
It can be for yourself, or you can fantasy book. Your choice.
Oh, man. Dream match for myself, I would say I would really want to face Chris Jericho around 2002 or 2003.
Ooh.
I think. I mean, he's been pretty awesome his whole career, but around that time, he was like, it was almost to a point where he could just about do no wrong, no matter what they were doing with him. That was the time he had 908,000, face and heel turns. But, everybody still ate it up. Everything he did was still gold. So, yeah, around that time, that would be my favorite match. And of course, he would have to go over. I'm not being crazy with him. Again, fantasy booking anything. I think one of the real common ones I've seen a lot is one that's real intriguing to me. I would have loved to see Kurt Angle in his prime versus Bret Hart in his prime. I don't think you could fail at all with those two guys together.
That's big money right there.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Or AJ Styles in his prime versus Shawn Michaels in his prime.
Oh,
that'd be a close second to Bret and Kurt.
Yes. Mr. Dodge, your turn.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay. Now you're making me think. Great. What's the worst injury you have had your short career so far?
As far as in ring, I have not been injured. When I was a trainee, I did a run in on a match and got my nose broken. A guy named Kevin Morgan, I was supposed to come in and distract him, and instead he gave me a big boot as I was jumping up on the ring apron and caught me square right in the center of the face. Busted my nose, broke it pretty well.
At least you got hit by a boot. Yeah. They missed about 5 feet.
What's that?
Oh, it's my debut as a big money exchange was against this new cat named Legendary, and he did a super kick which ended up about 3 feet away from my face and smacked his leg, and he gets all pissed off in the bag. Why didn't you sell it? Why didn't you sell it? I'm like, I'm not going to sell air.
Yeah.
I'm a manager, so I fell back like I'm scared. Yeah, I'm going to sell that.
Right.
But like, did you hear the tap? I'm like, yeah, but did you really hit my face? No.
Did anybody else believe that you hit my face?
Exactly.
Kid right in front row was all like, what?
Yeah, that's one of the worst things.
It is.
A lot of us, and sorry, I said a lot of us work really hard to try and present what we do as at least a large portion of realism.
Yeah.
And I believe Sam will agree with me if you ask him on Monday. When we had our matches, we're making pretty damn solid contact with each other. And I love it that way. That's the way I was brought in and taught. I'm going to hit you as hard as I expect you to hit me back. I'm not going to knock your teeth out, but you're going to know when I touch you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's the mutual respect thing. I trust you, you trust me. Let's go out and have some fun.
Exactly.
And then when guys go out and miss by 6 feet, that looks bad on everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mr. Noss, your question.
Those matches, it showed, like, you said that you guys tried to make it, so that, like, you guys were really getting into each other. It showed through the camera. So,
well, that's what we're going for us, especially like when you're out amongst the crowd. If you're whiffing in the crowd, they're definitely going to see that. And you run that risk of someone who's never been to a live indie show before and all they've ever seen is WWE or AEW, and they go and they see a guy throw a punch that misses by 3 inches and the other guy gets knocked down. It's like, you've completely killed it for that person. That's probably going to be their last indie show they go to.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's the best advice your trainer gave you, and do you still use it today?
I want to say the best advice he ever gave me was to make them feel something. Whether you're a babyface or whether you're a heel, your whole objective out there is to make the audience feel something.
Yep.
So many people want to go out and be tweeners, or they want to be the heel that's cool and people still like them. And that's the opposite of what you want to do. You know, if you want to be a heel, you want to make people feel that hate for you. If you want to be a babyface, you want to make people feel like, you know, they're in the fight with you. They believe in you. You know, that's one of the things Jermaine taught me. Rest his soul. Yeah, make them feel something, whether it's good or bad. Make them feel something, and I try to use that as often as I can.
Very cool. So the question I'm going to go with is Nathan's favorite snack. He says is a cookie. So what is your favorite cookie or a snack?
My favorite snack is ice cream. I can't stay away from it. I like the dulce de leche, the moose tracks. The sweeter, the better. I hate it because I got to do more cardio afterwards, but I can't stay away from it. Cookies, I'm a plain chocolate chip, or I love the generic sandwich cookies. Like if you give me an Oreo, I can't eat it. But if you give me a store brand, Clover Valley sandwich cookie, oh yeah, I'm all over that. Oreo, no, thank you.
It must be a Colorado thing, Nathan, because isn't that the third person from Colorado that said ice cream was their favorite snack?
Yes.
Randy, Panda, and now Cam. So.
Oh, nice.
It must be a Colorado thing.
I brought it with me from Oklahoma, so.
Steve?
I'm trying to think on top of my head. If you were to choose to be on AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, or WWE, which one would you choose and why?
I would choose WWE because that's what I know. Kind of along the same lines of the deathmatch question earlier, I don't watch a whole lot of the other stuff. A lot of the guys give me crap about it. It's like, yeah, you should be watching everything. And my response to that is, why? When the three of you, when you guys started watching wrestling, I'm assuming as kids, as most of us have, nobody just stumbled upon professional wrestling at 35 years old and was like, man, I want to really watch wrestling now. We all got into this as kids, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And when you watch wrestling, you had that feeling that, this is something spectacular. This is something awesome. You got a feeling from watching wrestling that made you want to watch it more, right?
Yep.
Okay. So if I don't get that feeling from watching wrestling, why the hell am I going to waste my time watching it?
Very true.
Very true.
That is a good point.
Like I said, there's guys in AEW that I like. I said Chris Jericho's still one of my favorite guys.
I'm wizard.
I'm not a fan of Kenny Omega, but some of the stuff he does is pretty awesome. Adam Page.
Yep.
Adam Page.
Yep.
I kind of am a fan of Adam Page, but I can't sit through a whole show of AEW.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor, I used to really like, back in 2007, 2008. Since then it's kind of gone downhill. And I've known some of the guys that have been on Ring of Honor. Like Tyler Bateman was one of the guys at my home federation when I broke in.
Brother.
He's an awesome dude, but I'm sorry, I just can't get into watching Ring of Honor. And it's nothing against those guys. It's just I don't get that feeling of what I watch wrestling for when I watch that. I honestly don't get it much from WWE anymore. But I said it's what I know. So
yeah.
I do watch a lot of old stuff now, so I'm still watching wrestling. It's just not anything new.
Excellent.
So if you had the chance to wrestle outside the United States in a different country, which one would it be and why?
I'm going to answer this, and everyone's going to think it's because of what happened last week, but my answer is going to be Puerto Rico. And last week is not the reason why. Everyone is talking about the crowd at SmackDown and Backlash and all that stuff. So I said my partner, El Conde, is Puerto Rican, from Puerto Rico. Runs One Revolution Wrestling in Colorado Springs, and he's brought in a lot of the talent from Puerto Rico. His champion right now is Pedro Portillo III. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's one of the hottest guys in Puerto Rico right now. and some other guys from there as well. Jake Hobbs, AJ Farrat has been wrestling in Puerto Rico. He's brought in a lot of those guys. That's kind of the thing with ORW. He brings in guys from Puerto Rico, Mexico, across the United States. He's got guys coming from the Dominican Republic on the show on the 28th. So yeah, Puerto Rico, I've heard, such great things about them, great things about the crowd. And, I've watched a lot of the old stuff from Puerto Rico as far as, was it IWC or IWA down there?
Mm-hmm.
IWC.
Yeah, it's, I think Puerto Rico would be a good time.
That would be fun.
Absolutely. Well, on that same note, I guess, who is your best actor or your best wrestler turned actor?
Dave Bautista by a long shot.
That's my boy.
The Rock plays the same guy all the time. I know Cena's funny and all that stuff. As far as actual acting goes, man, Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
You can't watch Drax and you see that's Drax. That's not Batista. And then his new movie's got Knock on the Cabin, totally different guy. The zombie movie, totally different guy.
That's great. Yeah.
My favorite wrestler turned actor's got to be Dave Bautista.
Very cool. All right, Money, you're up.
You guys keep making me think. I didn't write it down. What was your favorite promotion? I don't know if you've done more than one promotion.
Yeah.
Out of the few promotions you've done, which is your top?
I've got to go with my home at RCW. I said that's where I've had most of my matches. ORW is kind of a second home to me. I've just started going to MPW in Borger, Texas, which is run by Marcus Johnston, another one of my good friends. But yeah, RCW is kind of where I really got my feet in here. I wish I had stayed in with it was called Impact Zone Wrestling, which is where I was trained, or mostly trained anyway, back in 2010 in Lawton, Oklahoma. That's where my roots were from, and they were an awesome company, but things didn't work out well for me there. And then I said we moved to Colorado about 5, almost 6 years ago now. I found RCW, and that kind of became my home.
Awesome.
Can you tell us how your finisher came to be?
So my finisher, I actually haven't gotten to use my finisher yet. I've gone through a couple iterations of it. When I started wrestling again, kind of to touch on that a little bit, I've had 20 matches. I've already said that. My first match was in 2011. My second match was in 2021. So a little bit of a gap there.
Wow.
So yeah, when I started wrestling again back in 2021, I wanted to use a angle slam into a neck breaker because it was something that I hadn't seen before. I thought it was a decent variation. I thought it would be a good visual, and it had a cool name. It was a broken freaking neck because it's an angle slam and a neck breaker, right?
I love that name.
I love the name.
I used it about 3 times, and every time I watched it back on footage, even doing it in training and stuff, I'd done it countless times in training and just kept working on it. And then, like I said, the few times I've used it on shows, watching film back, it's like, why is this white kid using the Samoan drop? Because that's what it looked like. You couldn't tell it was an angle slam into a neck breaker. So I switched, and I do a T-bone suplex. That's kind of gotten a good reaction from the fans lately. So I believe I'm going to turn that into my new finisher. The way I've been working on it is, hooking the head, and instead of doing more of a suplex, it's going to be more of a drive. I'll come straight down instead of going further back with it. So thinking of calling it the Drexel driver.
There you go.
But, that's how my finish came to be, and I have not used it yet. my de facto finish I use now, I'm sure, so you guys watch my matches, is the split leg moonsault in the corner. I think I've won most of my matches with that, and that's just, I always thought it was awesome that RVD did it. I tried it one day in training, and all those years ago, and like I said, sometime around middle of last year, I was like, man, I wonder if at 38 years old I can still do that, and I still could. So I just started doing it. And I said that's kind of been my de facto finisher there. It's was cool. Never the intention, but that's kind of how it's been.
So I guess I'll ask an easy question. That way Steve can follow up with an even.
Oh, you're making it easy for me? Thank you.
No, he's making it easy on himself.
Let's have the Mount Rushmore of female wrestlers.
And remember, there's 4
female wrestlers. All right. So as far as actual wrestling goes, let's see. I'm going to put probably Medusa up there. I think Medusa was awesome. Not a Lunger Blaze, but Medusa.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that liked the Lunger Blaze, but Medusa was badass. Let's see. Sherry Martel. Sherry Martel was an awesome wrestler. A lot of people only know her as a manager. She was badass as well.
Wow.
I was a big fan of Lita as a wrestler. I would throw her up there. And I'm going to say, I'll say Trish because of, kind of the impact she had, before we came to the women's revolution. I think Trish kind of revolutionized that. She went from being the eye candy to being the actual top wrestler. An honorable mention, I'll throw Mickie James up there just because I like her more than all the rest of them.
But Trish sucks at promos. I'm just throwing it out. I'm sorry. I heard her on the microphone with this whole Becky Lynch stuff, and I'm just all like, where's the cue cards she's looking at? Like,
right? That bad, huh?
Yeah, he was eye candy though growing up. But yeah, that was it.
Well, to be fair, last Monday I think she's more focused on that missing Becky shirt she had on more than anything.
Right?
But I noticed watching your videos that you do some amazing promos. How much work do you put into those, going into putting them on camera?
Honestly, usually not a whole lot, and I kind of think that shows. I don't feel like my promos are quite up to par. I said, you got to remember, I go places where Gino Rivera is involved. So, the promo game is kind of, I'm a little further down the ladder. But yeah, I just try to put some emotion into it. One of my favorite promos was always Jake Roberts. So I know a lot of guys like scream and get real loud in their promos. Jake was always, more straightforward. This is what's going on. You could tell he was invested. You could tell he was into it, but he wasn't screaming at you. Or even somebody like Dusty. Everybody talks about how great Dusty Rhodes was at promo, and he was amazing.
Yeah, was really
good. If you think back, he was never like, there was a few bits and pieces here where Dusty's yelling at you, but usually it's Dusty talking to you. And yeah, he gets emotional and his voice will raise and all that stuff. I said, you can tell he's feeling what he's saying, but he was never really that guy that was, just screaming at you like everybody else does. So I try to take that, show some emotion, show what's up.
Don't do promos in a car.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
SoCal wrestlers do at the gym. All their promos are at the gym and where they train, and I'm like, dude, change it up. You're a gothic guy. Why are you at the gym pulling a promo?
Yeah, you should be in a gothic setting.
Go to a cemetery before they close. Cut a quick promo.
Right.
Boom, you're done.
Yeah, any of it. Yeah, I try to like, most of my promos are in my backyard, just different spots in my backyard, so I have different backdrops.
That's all you gotta do.
I don't have a lot of clean walls in my house. Like, this wonderful visage you see behind me now. This is my closet. My clothes are in there. Yeah. So, I mean, that's it. So yeah, most of my promos are in my backyard. Just finding a good spot that seems pretty decent out there. or I said I live in the beauty of Colorado, so I'm sure you've seen some of them that I do like up in the mountains and stuff. I think those are fun to do, but yeah, I try to not be too over the top, but still, convey the emotion and conviction, and
And
I've
make
definitely
make
had some
sense.
fun with them.
Yep. One of the ones I really enjoyed when I watched it was the one where you were around the dumpsters looking for pork chops,
Yes.
and you kept like looking at like every dumpster, going, "Are you in there?" But you
Like I
were
said,
still delivering like the point of the the promo, and I was like, "Well, I understand what you're doing with the promo, but I kind of want to know, is he in the dumpster?" Like you had me invested, like.
Well, awesome. I'm glad that was the thing. I was like, since he's such a trash person, it only made sense he'd be in the trash cans. But I didn't find him. So.
Perfect.
Yeah,
promo.
one of my favorites with him was the one at the car dealership where I threw him in the back of the car and told him to leave. Did you guys see that one?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my most fun ones.
Okay.
Is that my turn? Whose turn? My turn? Your turn?
It's Tony's turn, I think.
Well, go ahead. Sorry, I gave my car keys to my daughter, and she needs the car, and so go ahead and ask. I'll ask
At least if she brings dinner, she could take your car. No, my question for you, sir, is your top 5 favorite tag team of all time.
Okay. Top 5 favorite tag teams. And so that's where it's kind of weird for me, because I know a lot of people love like the Road Warriors and Steiner Brothers, and those guys were great, but I like the teams that complemented each other. You have one smaller but really fast guy and then one big bruiser guy. I like the teams like that. So the Hart Foundation, I'm going to say, was one of my favorite tag teams. Hart and Jim Neidhart. I love those guys together. Yeah. And also at the same time, I really like the pairing of the two smaller guys, the Rock and Roll Express. Those guys as a tag team, for a couple of guys that were, looked like they were 70 years old when they were 20. Those guys could friggin' go, man. Midnight Express. I loved the Hollywood Blondes for the short time they were together. Pillman and Austin. Pillman is another one of my inspirations as a younger wrestler. Yeah, man, the fifth one. You know what? I really liked the head shrinkers in the mid-90s. I thought they were cool. I bought into the head shrinker gimmick in the mid-90s. I thought that was awesome. So, yeah, I'll throw them up there as one of my favorites.
Cool.
Nice. Good picks.
So I guess I will go ahead and ask. So what advice would you give to anybody that wanted to, or an up-and-coming wrestler?
Train.
Steal my question.
Oh.
Train. When you're done training, train some more, and then keep training. And then after you're done with that, go do some training. That's I think that's the best advice for anybody, whether you're up and coming, whether you've been doing it for 5 years, 10 years.
Never stop.
It may be a little different for guys who are working 2 or 3 shows a weekend. You probably don't need to get in there quite as much and get your reps in. But if you're a guy that's doing 1 or 2 shows a month, go train. Find reputable training and train. A lot of guys say they go to training and it's me and my buddies with a ring in the backyard, and none of us really know how to wrestle, but some guy decided to book us, so we're training. No, you're not training. You need to find a school and train. When I moved to Colorado and decided I was going to get back into wrestling, that was the very first thing I did before I went to indie shows. I found the guys I liked. Hey man, I'm thinking about getting back into this. Where do you train at? Oh, I don't train. Oh, well, I like you a whole lot less now. Hey man, I'm new to Colorado. Thinking about getting back into wrestling. Where do you train at? Oh, I train here. Oh, cool. So I go look that place up, find out they're a reputable place. When I again broke back in, it was July of 2001. Colorado Springs had a Empower Training Center and SoCo Pro. Both very reputable places. SoCo Pro I thought was a better fit for me. Was actually run by Animal Sam and Daisy. So that's where I went. I got back in the ring and I got my training in. And I said I started training again July of 2001. After all that, 2 to 3 nights a week at least. A lot of times it was more than that. So I said, even at that, from July, I made my debut here in October. Nice. So still train.
Never ends.
Never ends. It shouldn't.
Nope.
How would you describe your wrestling style?
My wrestling style, I'm the I guess you could say kind of the classic baby face. I'm usually fighting from the bottom, but I'm always in the fight. I try to be a little bit more of a technician, but a lot of times my character's from Detroit, so I try to portray that blue collar mentality. I'll try to play by your rules, but as it goes on, if that's not working to my advantage, I'm gonna do what I need to. That's why I'm the sure thing. That's my catchphrase. You can bet on that because it's a sure thing. Because no matter what the odds are, no matter what's stacked against you, I'm going to find a way to come out on top. So I'm the plucky underdog that just stays in the fight for as long as I can.
Can I ask a question following that? Would you ever turn heel?
I would love to turn heel.
We're hiring.
I think, and I have been told I'm a better heel than I am a babyface. Okay. However, I haven't had the opportunity to do that in front of a crowd yet. Yes, I would love to go heel. I would love to be the bad guy every once in a while.
So it looks like Big Money Exchange has to do a little road trip.
Come on out, man.
So what are your future goals?
My future goals, like I said, I'd like to start traveling more. In my real life, I just started a new job a little over a month ago. So I think I'm going to have some better opportunities in my real life to, that will allow for me to do that. Like I said, I've only worked those 3 promotions, but at the same time, I haven't asked to work anywhere else. I don't exactly have promoters blowing my phone up all the time. Hey man, you want to come wrestle for us? But that's not usually the way it works. It's usually the wrestler, reaching out for that opportunity. Hey, can I have an opportunity to work on your show? And I simply don't do that.
Wow.
Because of, I don't usually have the opportunities because of my real life. But yeah, that's definitely one of my goals. I'd like to start traveling more. I'd like to get out more. I'm going to be 40 this year, man. And I hope it doesn't look like that on film. I hope I don't seem like a 40-year-old in the wrestling ring. But
no, not at all.
I realize I only have a limited amount of time to do this still, so I'd kind of like to make the most of it. And I'm not. I'm also grounded in the fact that I'm not likely to make it to AEW or anything like that. I know I'm not going to WWE. They're not calling up 40-year-olds. Hey, you've got 20 matches? Yeah, sure. Come on down. We'll have you at NXT. I really don't think that would happen.
Yeah, I'm 41 and I'm still sending videos of like my crew and like my kind of work. Yeah. And I'm like kind of getting over it. I'm all like, okay, yeah, I am 41 with a bad back, but I'm still falling off, still taking bumps and chairs and whatnot, but for how much longer?
I walked away completely in 2011, completely away from wrestling. I didn't watch it anymore. I didn't go to it anymore. Didn't go to any of the local indie shows. Didn't watch it on TV. I literally completely walked away.
And was it a personal choice or like?
I had a pretty good falling out. I was kind of in the same situation with my former job when I lived back there in Oklahoma. My job was 6 days a week. So the promotion that I trained at and I broke in at, I was fortunate enough they were in the town that I worked, not the town that I lived, but the town that I worked. So I said I got my training and everything there. They had a weekly show, so I would work until I got off work that Saturday, and then I would go help set up for the show. One of the days I ended up working late. I had a pretty bad disagreement with the owner of the promotion when I did finally get there. And it was one of those things. One thing you hear inside the wrestling business is if you can't commit yourself fully, then get out. And
I've heard that.
it is kind of a rough way to look at it, but at the same time, it's completely understandable. You're putting people's lives on the line. If I get into a wrestling ring uncommitted and unprepared, I've got a really good chance of hurting somebody. So that's exactly what I did. I couldn't commit myself, so I got out and I walked completely away. I said, then I found, we moved to Colorado years later. I said that was 2011. We moved here in 2017. Kind of started watching a little bit again. I found out my daughter was actually a wrestling fan, and she was disappointed that I had quit going. So, for a little while, we started going together. That was our thing to do. We would go watch wrestling together. When we moved up here, my wife found a video of Big Guns Justin Andrews on Facebook. He's one of the Colorado staples, one of the OGs out here. So we went and saw a CSW show, and then lo and behold, one of the guys who used to be a referee at ICW in Oklahoma, I was friends with him on Facebook and popped up and was like, hey, they're having a show a mile from my house in Canyon City. So I was like, we gotta kind of go catch that. So that kind of got me back into it. I said it was my daughter really wanted to start going. My son kind of started getting into it. So I said when we started going, it was one of those things that, like you said, still taking bumps and all that stuff. I couldn't just sit by and not do it anymore. I wanted to find out, do you still know how to bump? Do you still know how to do this? So I said I tried to be completely away, and just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. So
that's what they do.
I blame my kids for this.
Well, welcome back, though. Welcome back. I'm glad you came back.
Yeah, it's been a lot more fun this time around than it was last time.
So I like to compare people, like our guests, to
Oh God, here we go again.
Oh yeah,
yes,
I've actually been looking forward to this. I know you do this.
Again, I apologize.
Oh, do you already know and it's bad?
No, he doesn't know.
He hasn't told me. He normally tells me before he does this.
I didn't tell him this time, so
I got my drink.
I compared you to two people when I was watching your videos. Danny Doring from ECW.
Yeah.
And Owen Hart.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take it.
Ooh.
I loved Owen Hart. I was a fan of Danny Doring also. Danny Doring and Roadkill, I thought they were pretty good. Not one of my top fives, but I thought they were good together.
Well, then I take back my apology. Good job, Nos.
You get a
You were
raise.
apologizing because of Danny Doring?
No, I think it was more because of Owen Hart.
Oh, no, man, I'll take Owen.
Yeah.
Owen was awesome.
Yeah.
I actually try to do his I haven't done it very often, like on shows, but I've definitely done it in training. I do his handspring escape from the arm wringer. So yeah, definitely take a little inspiration from Owen Hart.
At least
I'm gonna
you're
say
not
this.
wearing caution tape.
That is true.
Not yet.
Oh man.
You do one of the best standing moonsaults I've seen in a long time.
Well, thank you very much.
Wow.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
So, what is the best match of your career so far, and who was it against?
Best match. Man, I don't know. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna throw out a wild card. I'm gonna say my best match has probably been a match I had with Javier Cruz. Yeah, it was we did a match. That one was also at one of the Pueblo shows. It was the Team Pork Chop and Team Outlaw thing. Of course, I was Team Outlaw. He was part of Team Pork Chop. Um, we started that match off. They they had one of the trainees from the company wearing one of my T-shirts in the crowd, and he was out there. And Javier, I know you guys have got him scheduled for later on in the year. That dude doesn't shut up ever.
I remember
Like
seeing this.
for any reason, he doesn't shut up. Uh, but yeah, he came out and he cut his promo and he heard the kid saying they knew we were going to have a match, so he heard the kid cheering for me, and I was going to kick Javier's ass. And so he goes out and he starts to interview the kid and ends up slapping him in the face and puts a little beat down on him before I come out and make the save. We're getting the kid out of there and making sure he's all right, and he attacks me from behind. And then of course Pork Chop comes out with his special referee and they start the match as I'm being attacked from behind. So he gets the jump on me, but we had probably a 10 or 12-minute match where we had this great bad guy who's known for cheating all the time, and other than jumping me before the bell, did absolutely nothing wrong the whole match. We had a very technical match. The dude tore my leg apart the entire time, like to the point where I tried to give him a body slam. I picked him up and I just completely lost it. It ended up he ended up rolling me into a small package out of a body slam because I just couldn't do it. He'd worked my leg so much. The standing moonsault. I did the standing moonsault, came down hard on my knee, so I couldn't even cover him for a pinfall. Ended up doing the split leg moonsault to try to finish him off, which so that's kind of been my de facto finisher. And same thing, he rolled out of the way. I came down flat on my knee. He locked me in a leg lock, and I ended up having to tap out. So it was I think we told a very good story that match. I know he called me afterwards and was like, that's one of his favorite of his career. I'm going to say it's probably my favorite.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever faced a former or current, I guess you could say, the professional wrestler from either WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, or Impact, or New Japan? Have you ever
I
faced
have
any?
not. The closest I've come to that, which I've mentioned IZW a few times. One of the guys at IZW, a couple of the guys at IZW, Angel Williams, and at that time our champion, the Real Deal Aaron Neal, were both in real tight with Vader, Big Van Vader.
Wow.
And like I said, this was 2009, 2010. And Vader was actually their heavyweight champion also for a while. But like I said, they were in tight enough that he took them on tours of Japan with him when he went over there. That's one interesting thing about IZW. We had the only recognized world title in Oklahoma because it had actually been defended in Japan by multiple people. So I thought that was really awesome. But Vader's son, Jesse, when he decided he wanted to start wrestling, Vader chose Aaron to train him. And of course he went on to NXT. He became Jake Carter. He was a tag team champion with Corey Graves at I believe it was FCW at the time before it became NXT. But I was the closest to his size when he was training, and I was still a trainee. So I did a lot of training with him at the time he was being trained. So that's probably the closest I've come to that.
Wow.
But yeah, it's we had another guy come through at the same time. You mentioned my standing moonsault. A gentleman named Joe Gomez had already been signed to FCW and stopped in before he had to report to Florida and did a few shows for us. He did a standing moonsault also, but people hated it. He would come down, like feet first or knees first. It was very obvious he wasn't landing on the guy that he was doing the moonsault to. So my trainer was like, man, show him how you do yours. So, I can say that I taught my standing moonsault to another guy who was signed by WWE at the time. So that's the closest I've been to that.
That's really cool, though.
That is cool.
That's cool.
Very, very cool. So we asked a question earlier about your top 5 managers, but what is your true feeling on a manager? Are you looking for a manager? And if so, I know one that would love to manage.
Managers, I'm cool with. I feel like I don't need one. Not, as I said again, not trying to blow my own horn, but I feel like I do a decent enough job talking for myself. But yeah, man, if a manager fit, I would absolutely be open to a manager. It's not anything like, no, I don't want a manager. I'm the star. I'm cool if I had a manager that fit, my style or the gimmick or whatever. Yeah, I'd be open to a manager.
Now, I'm sorry, Nathan. You knew I had to ask that question because Big Money is the new owner. You know I got to stay in good with the boss, right?
I know that, but you forgot one thing. I know a lawyer / manager that
Oh
could
my
also help
God!
out.
Are
Okay,
we gonna have
okay.
to talk about this guy?
What's your question, Nas?
What mark do you want to leave on the wrestling business?
That's a good question.
So the mark I want to leave is, I would hope anybody could, watch one of my matches and believe in what I was doing. That's one of the things in Bret Hart's book where he talks about professional wrestling versus other forms of fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can fight. It takes a lot of skill to convince people that you're fighting. So that's the mark I hope to leave. Is I want people to believe in what I'm doing. I said at least have that bit of realism to it. And from the business side of it, as far as that's the mark for the fans. From the business side, I would like that you could ask anybody I ever worked with or worked around and say, yeah, that guy's a good worker, or he's going to be safe with you. He'll take care of you. You'll be good to go. That's the mark I hope to leave on the business.
At least if you know how to super kick and actually touch him. I'm so glad he's not watching, but I really don't care. But yeah, he was green. He was a rookie, and it was
sometimes it is what it is. The rookies are usually the worst ones.
Yeah, and then they get all mad because didn't you hear the slap? Yeah, congratulations, you know how to slap.
I'm very much a rookie myself, but I'll guarantee you, if I walk back into the locker room and somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, man, you should have done this differently," you know what? I'm going to listen to what they said because they probably know more about it than I do.
Yep. Take as much advice as you can backstage.
Absolutely.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
With your permission, may I pass it to promotions in Southern California?
Yeah, man, absolutely. My wife's got family out there. Right around the Los Angeles area. So yeah, I would be open to that if the opportunity presents itself and I'm able to do it. I would have no problem with that.
Okay.
Okay, was that your question, or do you want to ask another?
No, that was my question.
Okay.
It was a business one.
Right on.
Perfect.
Mama said it means that way sometimes.
Yep.
Exactly.
Okay, so we asked you what your dream match was, but if you could book one match, right?
Yeah.
Purely as a promoter, who would it be from any generation? It doesn't have to be now, and why?
Yeah, I said I would have to go Kurt Angle, Bret Hart. Both of those guys in their prime. Or as I said, Shawn Michaels versus AJ Styles. Both of those guys in their prime. And actually, I'm not going to say those guys in their prime. I'm going to take Shawn in his prime versus AJ in, I'm going to say, 2017. As a lot of people are concerned, that's not AJ's prime.
No.
And trust me, I was a fan of AJ for a lot of years. But like AJ around that time, kind of like I said about Jericho earlier, that dude was gold around that time.
Mm-hmm.
Now he looks like a soccer mom.
Yeah.
That's what my wife calls him every time. And I just say, like, what's that shampoo commercial? I just laid my hair back, all like, that's
Oh
all
yeah.
we gotta do. Yeah. But
Yeah,
he's a
you give me
amazing talent.
1995 or 1996 Shawn Michaels versus 2016 or 2017 AJ Styles. I think you could put the money for that one.
That's big money.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it is.
So what's one wrestling story about your wrestling career that nobody knows about you that somebody would say, oh my God, once they heard it?
I don't know. I really don't have many of those stories. I've been trying to think of that because I knew you were going to ask that question. Yeah, I really don't have many of those. Some stuff from the road. But, okay, I'll talk about. So this was earlier this year. I believe it was in March. So Sam and I had the tag team with each other at MPW in Porter, Texas. He's a heel. I'm a babyface. We're in the middle of our goings on already at RCW. And so the promoter at MPW needed a team to face his top heel tag team, Best Picture. Anybody around the Texas area or outside of there, those guys are a top-notch tag team. So we go in there against them, and it's basically he and I trying to one up each other for the whole thing. Anything I do, he has to get in there and do better. So we're constantly tagging ourselves in and out, all that stuff, and fighting almost more with each other than we are against the other team. But there was a spot in that match where Best Picture, they do it's a Hollywood gimmick. It's the strong style cinephile Sebastian Envy and the leading man Michael Schaefer, and then they've got their agent, and then they've got their director, who's their two managers. So it's 4-on-2. We got to a point where Sam and I are finally working together. I get the hot tag in on him. He comes in, he lays out one guy, goes after one manager. He ducks and runs away. The other guy comes in, so he lays him out too. The other manager gets up, so he goes after him. He ducks and runs away. And so then he's fed up, so he goes outside and gets after the two managers, right? And so he's wailing on them. Then Schaefer and Sebastian get up and make their way out there, and they start getting the best of Sam. Mind you, I just been taking the heat for like 6 or 7 minutes, so I'm completely out of it. But I see this going on, so I get up, I hit the ropes on the other side of the ring, and I do the old AJ Styles flip over the top rope, right? And I land on everybody. Sam, my partner, the two guys from Best Picture, their two managers, so all 5 of them. We all go down. And I hadn't done that in a long time, like a long time. So I told the guys before we went out there, I was like, so when we do this dive, I'm going to go and I'm just going to jump and close my eyes. And if you guys catch me, you catch me. If you don't, I guess I'm just taking a bump on the floor. But I know which direction my body is going. So, I'm going to go. Once I go, I'm going to close my eyes. We'll see how it turns out. And everybody caught me, the way it was supposed to be done. So I felt myself land on top of everybody. And I opened my eyes and looked down. And I've got, the manager here, Schaefer here, Sebastian here, other manager here, and right between my legs is Animal Sam. We were talking about it afterwards. We actually drove down there together and talked about it down at home. I was like, man, I've got to say, people ask you what you did this weekend, I'm going to tell them this. And I'll be like, I knew everything was all right when I looked down and saw my partner's face between my legs. I guess that's going to be my oh my God story. Yeah, what'd you do this weekend? I was like, man, I put on my tight spandex pants and, got in the ring with a bunch of other dudes. And next thing I know, my partner's face was between my thighs.
Okay.
Good time.
You're up, big money.
I'm always up. Why?
I know.
I'm the boss. I'm supposed to be telling you guys to do the questions.
Big money up, little money down, homie.
That's true. Okay. Wow. so many questions that we've asked that I'm like are in my head that was I wanted to ask, but no. So now I gotta figure something out.
You guys are question stealers.
At your home promotion, what is your dream match for, say, a tag team title? Like, who would you choose as a partner, and what group would you want to face for the tag team belts?
Man, that's pretty interesting. Actually, our show tomorrow, we have a tag team championship match between Team Chocolate and BOD. BOD is our longest tenured tag team in RCW, two-time tag team champs.
Wow.
Yeah, we've had some good tag teams. Our main event is actually going to be Super Destroyer Jay Graves versus Mr. Happy. Jay Graves, formerly Monster 9. And they were a tag team as well. Riot and I lost our tag team titles to Monster 9 and Happy. So I would probably want to get a measure of revenge against them. As for my partner, man, I really don't know. I'm facing my other former partner tomorrow, Rampage. He's kind of turned against me. Riot no longer wrestles. He went and started a family.
Oh wow.
Man, I don't know. I'd probably have to bring Riot back. Just the two of us can get our revenge against the three-ring circus.
There you go.
Very cool. So I think I'm going to bring out a new question that I think we've only asked one other person.
Ooh, all right.
And it's a top 5. So we're going to go with your top 5 commentators.
Oh,
Top 5 commentators. I really liked Vince McMahon as a commentator. I think he's probably going to be my number one there. And that's, a lot of people probably don't agree with that, but I don't care. It's my top 5, right? I loved the combination of JR and the King, but the two of them with anyone else, I hated. I couldn't stand JR with anyone else. I couldn't stand the King with anyone else. So I'll put them together, the combination of JR and the King. I really like Tony Schiavone. I think Tony Schiavone gets overlooked a lot as far as commentary goes. That I was more of a WCW guy than a WWF guy for a long time. So Tony Schiavone. I'm going to throw in Bobby Heenan also. As great as he was as a manager, he was equally as great as a commentator.
Yep.
That dude was awesome pretty much everything he did. So yeah, I'll throw Heenan up there. I'll say Heenan's probably number 1 instead of McMahon. I'll put McMahon number 2 and Heenan number 1. Yeah, outside of that, and not for commentary reasons, I love Dusty's commentary. That dude, you never knew what the hell he was talking about, but it was always entertaining no matter what it was. So Dusty Rhodes on commentary, yeah, absolutely. I'll take that as number 5.
Wow. Those were good picks.
Very good.
So, of all the three major promotions, who do you think's doing a better job as a promoter? Vince McMahon, Tony Khan, or Court Bauer?
And I don't know. I think if the Wembley thing I've been reading about goes the way they say, I'd say probably Tony Khan. And that has nothing to do with the product on TV or anything, but who else other than WWE is going to sell 60,000 seats anywhere? Sure. It's kind of one of those things, like I mentioned earlier, WWE is what everybody knows. So, of course, they're going to sell their tickets. Maybe they're not going to sell as many as they used to, but they're still going to get their piece of the pie. So, yeah, man, if AEW can take that big slice as well, I'd say probably them.
Love it. Is it my turn?
Yep.
It is.
Okay. Because I'm like watching the basketball game and thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, here's a good one. On WWE, this is now WWE, AEW. I don't know if you still watch Ring of Honor or Impact. Who are your favorite wrestlers today on those 4 shows?
So I'm going to say Chris Jericho.
Okay.
He's definitely going to be one of my favorites. He always has been ever since the Monday Night Jericho.
You
I
made
was
the
one of
list.
the few people that had the WCW Monday Night Jericho T-shirts back when I was 14 or 15 or however old I was at the time. I said AJ Styles is still one of my favorites. Seth Rollins, from what I've seen, I really like what Seth Rollins is doing. I thought the match he had with Cody Rhodes, the Hell in a Cell match with Cody, with the blown pec and all that.
Yeah.
I thought that
Hell
was
of a
excellent
match.
what they could do. No, that was a pretty amazing match. Hangman Page, I would put him up there as well. I said, I'm a fan of the things he's done, so I think those would be my top 5.
All right.
Okay, well now, let's see here. Besides wrestling, did you do any other sports growing up?
Yeah, I actually got into amateur wrestling because of WWE. I was naive enough to think that they were going to be somehow related. So yeah, junior high, I started amateur wrestling. I did baseball. The football was probably my main one. So yeah, I did a little bit of everything. But as far as like organized sports, yeah, I did baseball and football.
Nice.
So this is a new question that I came up with, but we've only asked it for a few people.
All right.
In wrestling today, do you think a special needs character, i.e., Eugene, would work?
No, I think that would get canceled quicker than I don't even know what. No, I don't think that would work. I wasn't a big fan of the beginning of the Eugene character, how they portrayed that, but kind of as it evolved, it made a little more sense. If that does that make sense?
It does.
It does.
Yeah, the way they started off with that character, and credit to Nick Dinsmore, that dude kind of handled what was fed to him, but I think the way that character evolved, it kind of became better. But no, I don't believe a special needs character like that would work today. I don't know. I don't know how you would even attempt to portray that in a positive light. If that makes sense, and it should be. That there definitely are huge positives. We've got great fans at RCW that are special needs. One of my, 1 second. Sorry, I had to go grab this. This is I don't know if you can see that. That's the Lion Lucero, Jaden Lucero, special needs guy. He's one of our big fans here in Colorado for not only RCW but ORW, CSW, everywhere they can go, they go. It's the kid and his dad, both awesome people. His dad's an amazing guy. So special needs stuff like that. My wife has a little cousin that's special needs, and stuff like that kind of really strikes a chord with me. When you try to portray that as something that's going to be comedy or something that's going to be shown as less than. There's nothing less than about that, and that kind of it kind of strikes a chord with me. But yeah, I definitely don't think that would work.
Right. And I'm glad you put it that way, because that's always been kind of like one of my life goals, is to get involved in wrestling and prove that, like, somebody like I am that's in a wheelchair can still do the commentary and do the booking and do, but not in a, like you said, not in a comical way, just, because I know a lot about wrestling and I can, do everything that somebody else did. So
absolutely. Yeah, so that's why I wasn't a fan of the Eugene character. That was supposed to be, even just with the grain of salt, the way they portrayed that automatically was spiteful. That was he was Eric Bischoff's nephew, right, on the show.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be he's being punished. It was supposed to be spiteful. Yeah, let's throw the special needs guy out there. Let's make fun of it like that. Not a good look.
No.
Just throwing it out there, my Miami Heat just beat the Knicks. So, like I always tell people, that's how I make money.
Man, I think the last time I paid attention to basketball was when the Miami Heat won the championship, and it was because I was a Charlotte Hornets fan, and Alonzo Mourning was on the Miami Heat at that time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was just so glad to finally see him get his ring, and I honestly don't think I've paid attention to basketball since then. That was probably 2004 or 5, somewhere in there.
Oh shit!
So, I guess it's your question, boss man.
Why me? Let me see. So, do you know any Southern California talent?
I don't think so. I don't think Bateman's out there anymore. I didn't really know him. We met each other a couple times, but
I think he's still with Santino's in LA.
okay, yeah, because I know he and Gino would kind of run into each other out there, I believe.
Yeah,
but, that's what he left Oklahoma for California.
And how tall are you, if you don't mind me asking?
How tall am I? Is that what you said?
Yes.
I'm like 5'9.5", 5'10", 5'10" on a good day.
I'm gonna have to talk to one of my members and do a little road trip out there. I got a good person for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go.
So that was my question. I'm like everywhere right now. I'm like running. Like I tell these guys, my head keeps when I'm on this podcast, my head is running with wrestling.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I fully admit I should pay attention more to the stuff that's out there, but I watch what I enjoy watching. Like there are a lot of the indie stuff, like even here in Colorado, the one that's like the most easiest access is Rocky Mountain Pro. They've got their weekly tapings and all that stuff and their YouTube show. A lot of those guys are really awesome guys. Bruce Wayans, I know you guys have had him on your show. That dude's very entertaining to watch. Still believable in everything he does. He's not the guy that's going to miss you by 3 inches. He's the guy that's going to look like he's knocking your block off.
See, I'm going to make a shirt about that, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm going to have a super kick right here and I'm going to make a shirt.
You don't even need the super kick. Just have it say something like 3 inches is very important.
3 inches matters.
That's right.
Yeah. One thing about Bruce Wayne, though, he's entertaining as a wrestler. He's entertaining as a person to interview, as long as he doesn't flip his wrestling buddy up by the keyboard.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, we ended up watching probably about 30 minutes of a wrestling show from a balcony a couple months ago, and he didn't even know I was a worker. I was there as a guest of one of the other guys on the show. And, we're just sitting there talking and just riffing on stuff for, I said, probably 25, 30 minutes. And then, of course, I had introduced myself to him, but it wasn't like, hey, I'm Cam, I'm a wrestler also. It was, hey, I'm Cam. And, I said, we were sitting there talking to each other, and then somebody else introduced us to each other later on. It was like, oh, I didn't know you were a wrestler. That makes sense what you were saying. It's like, yeah, he's just an entertaining guy to be around. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Noss, I'm going to defer the next question to you, and then we'll do the closing.
Sounds good. So, have you ever? I mean, I know we asked about out of town, or out of the states, but have you ever thought about like Japan? Because that's another place that I think your style would.
Yeah, I did. I said years ago. Listen, when the guys I talked about earlier had gone over there, that's one of the things. Aaron wasn't necessarily a trainer at IZW, but he definitely helped out whenever he could. Yeah, it was one of those things that I'm sure you've noticed. I don't throw punches in my matches because I'm a babyface.
For now.
It's one of those things, right? That's one of those things he instilled in us. Baby faces shouldn't throw closed fist punches to the face because they're illegal. And that kind of always struggled me. So, that's why I always throw forearms, knees, elbows, whatever. And it was one of those things. Exactly like you said, if you go over to Japan where you need to do something like this, you can, and you'll still look legit, and you won't get the crap beat out of you for whiffing somebody when you try to hit them like that. You can do this hard and impactful and still safely. So that's yeah, as you said, you can tell Sam and I are laying into each other when we're throwing stuff, we're laying into each other, but just 100% safe.
May I throw in a question?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
From professional to professional, do you ever get in the politics behind the scenes?
Oh, good Lord. I try not to. There's so much of it around for no reason at all.
Yep.
It's just, you got a talking head over here and a talking head over here. And it's like, if both of you just shut up, you'd realize you have the same goal. You may not be trying to get there the same way, but you have the same goal. But, people are, they want to infight over everything. Whose piece of the pie is bigger? And,
Yep.
I got news for everybody. The pie's big enough for all of us. There's pie for everybody. Everybody's going to get a slice of pie. If I get a slice of pie, it doesn't make your slice of pie any smaller.
Yeah.
There's plenty of pie to go around. The politics and that stuff like that, I can't stand to see that because most of the time it's for no reason. Sometimes guys do have legitimate beefs with each other. There's no need to politic for that. Handle your friggin' beef. This business is professional wrestling. Be a professional and handle it.
Yeah.
There's no need to get anyone else involved for any reason. I
asked that question because a promotion that I was a part of, and I guess you could say he was a ring announcer. They actually had real beef, and this new promoter of a promotion in Southern California would go to every promotion that the other guy was at and actually want to fight like behind the curtain. I'm like, dude, you're looking dumb as a promoter. Like, now people are going to see that this promoter wants to really fight a talent, and you're expecting to like have good people come to your shows. After that, no, I'm not going to.
Yeah, it's called professional wrestling. That's the first word.
Professional.
Be professional about
it. So, in closing, I know you're meeting Mr. Killian here in the near future.
Yeah.
Mr. Killian, you're coming on our show tomorrow night. Read the banner, my man. You thought you won the Red Rock Rumble, but you lost to a woman.
That's going to be a good one.
We'll see you tomorrow night. We'll see you tomorrow
night. Somebody should put
Tony.
an arrow towards Tony so he knows that he's the one that came up with that banner. I don't.
We'll see you tomorrow night, Mr. Killian. Thank you, Cam, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Cam.
Mr.
Very much so.
Follow me, and I'll follow
look forward to meeting you on the 28th, sir.
Absolutely. Mr. Noss, Big Money Dodge has provided us with enough money. Have you taken your fleet a bath yet?
Not yet.
Okay, well, make sure you get your fleet up. And the Vancouver vet clinic called me this morning, and you missed your appointment. So I made another one for you on Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Don't miss it. Please help me control the pet population. Have your host spaded or neutered. Good night, everybody.